into game 3. Hashtag CLG win, hashtag P1 win, as we're about to see who is going to break this one wide open. P1 has been able to get some pretty nice early game advantages here and keep them going. Baron has been very scary throughout this entire match.
Both
I think
teams.
it will prove to be very scary as we approach it once again here in game 3.
We could see Rengar go tank. We've seen Reignover do that kind of stuff. Back with the new Rengar, but I really don't expect it. Pretty much everyone is going full damage, so likely will be a full damage comp here from CLG. But they have the ability to really affect the bottom lane very well here too. When you think about Darshan hitting level 6, Huhi hitting level 6, you can throw the GP ultimate bot lane with an ultimate coming in from Rengar, the package coming out from Huhi. So there is the ability to kind of have those big power plays on the bot side of the map.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, Smithy has no items so far.
Yes. It's a quick run out.
Yeah, that's a bit of an oopsie. I can't think of any real reason why you would want to do this. There's nothing like reactive I don't think he's going to do. Afro able to cash in on some gold there.
We'll see how he repairs this one.
I'm sure someone will notice on his team. You hope someone will notice on his team.
He hasn't backed yet.
Yeah.
He's got about 30, 40 seconds before these minions spawn, so Smithy's going to be starting without an item on this one or delaying his jungle. He is starting to move right away.
That's actually so bad if he doesn't base, and doesn't really even have time now. The amount of extra damage you take in the jungle without a jungle item is like massive.
He's going to have
some help here.
He's calling up. They're going to have the minions. Maybe they know something we don't.
I almost hope it's like a UI bug or something, and we can't actually see those items. We'll be able to get some confirmation on that, but it seems like he just straight up does not have any items. So a unique jungle strategy coming out here from Smithy, and the confirmation, yeah, it's not a visual bug. He actually just didn't buy items. Alrighty then.
So he gets the pull up. And he's going to actually get through this one pretty healthy. So not too shabby to start things off.
I mean, it's a big leash from Malzahar.
Yeah.
The Voidlings tank up a lot. But the fact of the matter is how you get your kind of health back is from those jungle items, and it also increases your damage a lot. So even if you can get through the jungle with this, you're going to be doing it a lot slower. You're doing it less healthy. I wonder if there is some like crazy strategy here. He's going to, be a mastermind with his first buy or something, but level 2 buy, is there anything he could get that would really make this make sense? We're about to find out. I really don't think so.
Well, he got through the first 2 camps. Usually you do a few more than 2 to start things off, but he knows he needs to go back. This is bad for Arrow getting hit up in the beginning. Grenade goes back as well.
Go for it.
Got the potion
His
pop.
fourth shot.
They're just looking for the aggression in lane. They know they have the advantage now, but they actually lost quite a bit of health walking through the minions, just pursuing that.
They did.
Summoners are down, though, for P1 as well.
And Adrian does have kind of that sustain advantage, so he can heal his team back up. Smithy back out on the map, has his double jungle item, so we'll be able to clear fine from now on. Set back a little bit by that, but it didn't end up being the worst thing.
Yeah, as long as the other team doesn't find out, I think it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Be able to come back.
The problem could be with things like this, if you're a second or 2 behind your opponent in the jungle, if that hit, that could have been a kill. You can end up being just a step late on a counter gank or a step late on that first kill. And as we know, junglers have the ability to really snowball games, and it can really change the outcome if you miss out on that.
21-13 on that top side. Actually a good amount of minions to be pushed in here, so Darshan not falling behind too bad. He's just letting the wave crash in. 19-12 here in mid. And Ryu basically has the same thing. These guys are pretty even all across the board. Less jungle action in the early game each time here. We've been seeing Smithy go very early on the Graves. Obviously not going to get it this time. But both junglers have stayed out of each other's jungle here to start.
Yep. You can expect to fall down a little bit in farm on this GP. In the early matchup, you definitely can get bullied out by the Shen, who has those strong base stats and kind of duel up against you. Zig taking a tower shot there, though, does change the math a little bit. Either way, Darshan will be happy as long as he stays relevant in farm. You don't actually have to be ahead of your opponent. You can play it very safe. You can stack up a lot of gold from Bandit, because how Bandit works for GP is your Q is actually coded as like a melee ability because you're a melee champion. So you get 10 gold every time you shoot them with your Q. And it basically lines up with the cooldown on it as well. Works out to give him a lot of extra gold in trades. Plus he has the extra parlay gold. And GP can become a force later on.
Nice wards coming in from CLG. Let them know Inori's coming in and they don't go too hard in the bot lane.
I like the pick of Malzahar here for Afromu. You know, it's not fresh, but you can move around. You know, those flash ultimates coming out from Malzahar. You have the CC and you can assist in the engage quite a bit with that.
See how aggressive he does get. Maybe feeling good from that Thresh game. And getting himself back into that identity of being able to engage for the team. Rush control calls the flash from Arrow. So that means both summoners are down in that bot lane for him.
They are forcing a lot down here, and that could call a lot of attention down to the bot side. Remember, we talked about it earlier. Darshan, as he hits 6, will have a GP ultimate. That is global. As Smithy hits 6, he can come down. They're going for it. Flash forward, they miss.
Trying to get the quick deadly flourish after. Arrow is still able to sidestep it, though.
Commits to that, and summoner advantage is now gone. As Afromu has committed both his summoners. They do still have them for Stixxay, but a couple of those deadly flourishes were really close to tagging, and it could have meant a kill for CLG.
That's the kind of stuff you hope to see. You know, a flash is down. When will they act on it? How about immediately with our own flashes?
They go for it.
Yeah.
Didn't work out this time.
They're trying to trade back the same aggression they've been getting from P1 throughout these games. Sheen Seal for Huhi. Double Tomb for Ryu as he goes to build up his revolver.
That was actually pretty smart from Darshan because there was not really much threat of him taking a big amount of damage there. He actually holds his orange on that taunt because if you can get that out right away, the taunt cooldown is lower than the orange at early levels. So then your jungler can come, and this is an early rotation from CLG top side. They are losing minions bot side, so they need to get something out of this. They're going to try to look for a kill and potentially the first turret. This is what they're trying to sneak out and actually get done. They have 3 guys up here, but Inori is in the area and probably can shut this down. We'll see if they can actually get anything. They're just sitting in the bush. Wow.
Yeah, they see Xmithy clearing the wave in bot side. Now P1 has to know something is up. That's not usually what you see.
Okay.
But they are just going to back off of this one. Counterlogic Gaming trying to keep things in motion.
I mean,
but coming up short.
Interesting try. The problem with it is they gave up not only the farm, but also the XP. So now both Afromu and Stixxay, they had a lane advantage. They forced out summoners. Now they're down a level. Now they're down 13 CS. So that actually cost them quite a lot. It's pretty punishing. And this is a wave crashing into Arrow. So they have really kind of thrown themselves out of the lead now. Arrow is going to be able to pick up a bunch of the farm here. And we're going to see Stixxay down probably 20-ish CS.
Cannon wave as well, which means it's only going to pile in another one. He has this at the 75%, I say push mark, just right in front of his turret here.
That was really risky
according
play.
to CLG's side, so he can just farm this out safely. Especially with the sustain coming in from Adrian. So the sway in bot lane, CLG trying to get pressure on. They're saying, all right, if you're going to try to farm this, we're going to put as much damage on you as possible while you're doing it.
Yep.
Too close, they have to back off. Yeah, it's about a 20 CS lead after that.
There it is, and that's a really big deal. And it's also now Arrow's level 6, Afro's level 4 right there. They're both a solid level down on their opponents. So all the work that they did in the laning phase to get summoner advantage, to be able to kind of have the pressure is now not only gone, but they're behind. It's definitely a very risky play. You know, the reward there, the possibility was that they get a kill and they get first turret and they get a big lead. So that's the kind of bet that they were making. But their opponents did not fall into it.
Trying to get the level 6 Rengar used as well. Smithy just approaching the bottom brush.
Worded out.
Not going to work that time.
And the other thing is, you know, a gank like that also works a lot better if your bot lane is level 6. If you have the Jhin ultimate to open up with that, or Malzahar ultimate as well. But they're not able to do that. Smithy and Inori right now have just been kind of farming it up, and both teams are pretty much dead even.
It's kind of in the same essence for P1. They're saying we have 6. CLG's thinking, hey, maybe if they do feel they can go early on that, we have the Smithy here. Almost kind of putting yourself in that, well, we have to take the fight. Hopefully we'll come out on top situation. 9.5.
Smithy showing bot side means that Inori will take away most of the top side jungle here. So Inori going to be able to grab the blue. He grabs the Gromp too. Smithy, there's nothing up for him to steal. So he now needs to make a play, whether it's starting up Dragon, looking for a gank bot. He has to do something, or he is going to fall pretty far behind because Inori is being able to farm it out and being able to get those edges.
Huhi on the roam. He actually just crossed past the ward that was over on Raptor's side. He'll be meeting up with Smithy, but this is somewhat of a pinch.
Smithy is here. He's been on war for a long time, but he really wants to make this work because he knows he lost his jungle.
It depends a lot, I feel, if P1 can get CLG back past towards that tri-brush. Now they have entry into the river first.
Oh, he's in trouble.
Can be up to help this. Ryu going in strong.
There's the ultimate. They're going, but Inori is in place, and now that's the first ultimate already burned. Couldn't get anything, and Inori was able to farm that whole time and still get in position.
Yep, there's the control. P1 did grab that bot lane Riverside. They push out, so they're going to be able to set up wards on this. See if they actually decide to do something else with it. Back just to farming lanes. The junglers are causing trouble with the mid laners. Everything's back to normal, though.
Certainly is. At least for Smithy, he had that call field, so he had a little bit of CDR before he popped his ultimate, but it's still going to be a really long time before it's up, and Afro and Stixay are now 6, so they are looking for a pick. They're hoping someone comes up, and they can get the Flash Malzahar ult, take him out. But Smithy has not farmed in quite some time. He lost his camps. He was hanging around the bot side of the map for a really long time and got really nothing out of it. So now he is back to farming, but instead of being up quite a bit in farm, he's now down a level and giving up some of that edge. And you can see he's down a little bit of gold there, around 100 and so.
P1 quite a bit to spend, as you saw in their inventories. And just locking it up. Zig again having a safe top game. Not really trying to produce too many results, but also had a decent Rumble game last time, staving off a lot of pressure. They just decided not to go for the Shen. Yeah. One try with Stixay and Aframu early, really trying to open up the game from the get-go here to stop any snowball P1 might be able to create. Well, they came up short and might have even helped P1 start a snowball.
One thing to be said for CLG, though, is they don't feel a lot of pressure right now to do anything. I mean, this is Darshan on a hyper-scaling top lane champion in a matchup that just gets better and better for him over time. He also has a cull, so he's getting bonus gold. He's being able to get the parlay gold, now the cull gold as well. So he will get very far ahead of Zig unless Zig does get something done. There's more pressure on Zig to make that happen.
Oh, bye-bye.
Quick little hop out.
Yeah, nice ultimate there to make sure he was not seen. CLG moving as a group now to make sure they have power in numbers. Ward wars towards the bot side of the map.
Both teams would love to grab the Infernal. CLG has to be careful about how they started up, and obviously so would P1. You have a full member that's going to come down from the top lane in Zig when he ults in. Darshan may not TP in, but he's kind of the four and a half member, right?
Yep.
Like he's going to drop the ultimate. He's still going to be able to be pretty effective with that. And now, seems to be kind of back to that stalemate.
Hasn't got an upgrade just yet.
Oh, look at this. They're going in.
There's the initiation we've been looking for. Deadly Flourish after. Tries to get saved by the tidal wave, but Adrian may have put himself in a dangerous situation. One shot to the left of Adrian. Now hits Arrow. Summoner Heal comes out for a bit of speed, and they start firing back. Hugi's standing still with the Gatling. May find an arrow in his backside quite soon. Low health on both sides for some members. And they really have to decide what fight they want to take. Looks like Aframu's going to lose a bit more health, but there isn't enough follow-up. A quick heal for himself. Stixay coming up with a kill onto Ryu. Smithy over the wall for a kill as well onto Adrian. And P1 just stayed too long.
P1 could not quite get that fight. Zig had TP'd top lane, and because the Stand United did not come through, that meant the fight was CLG's. And CLG, when they commit to this, they know the Stand United is going to come through. They must kill Inori before the channel completes, and this was pretty close, honestly. There's the ultimate already coming through. It's about to finish, but it doesn't. So now Shen had no way to get down there. CLG over to that dragon, but oh, he's going deep.
Oh, Inori goes in. There's one. He's trying to now get Stixay, but he doesn't have There's two, and he turned around. Stixay actually gets a buff refresh on that. And a bit of gold from the kills.
Package on Hui. I don't think he's going to want that. That is, whew. Spicy fight there. Inori almost took down Stixay too. One more Q, he would have had him.
I like the confidence though. Going in a 3v1, seeing about 700 HP in total. There's definitely a possibility that he gets that kill. Almost following. That would have been interesting if he had not cast it early. Inori's back up, and Ryu continues to give Huhi some scares in the mid lane. Ryu, however, just going down there. Stixay was able to put out enough damage. 2-0-1 on the Jhin. Not doing too shabby for himself.
And now P1 starting up that dragon. Smithy has the ultimate available momentarily. That cooldown just finished now. He can pop that ultimate and see they're over there, and they know this dragon is getting started up. Malzahar coming up here. Will they actually look to do anything? Looks like they're just going to make the call. We got to give it up. And that's kind of the problem with those risky dragon plays, is when you try to take the dragon at the end of the fight and you're not able to rush it down before your opponents get back on the map, then you are low HP, you cede map control, and your full health opponents who just based get to take that up. So that's kind of what happened there for P1. They're able to grab themselves that Infernal. Nice bonus to have in the pocket. But still, Smithy going to be looking. A lot of his camps are up, though. It feels like he's not farming perhaps as much as he needs to be. He's really trying to make things happen with his ultimate and kind of looking around. But, you know, those top side 3 camps have been up for so long. He hasn't really made the trip up there, and he is falling behind in levels because of that, even though Rengar certainly should be out farming the Kazakhs.
Absolutely. We have seen so much of the action bot lane all throughout this series has been practically a bloodbath. I think this is one of the least amount of kills we've had. But expect them as we get into the mid game. And these guys start jockeying for those objective positions.
Especially with these compositions. I mean, when the fights do break out, they are explosive because everyone can join in. People can roam very well. There's multiple teleports. There's global ultimates. It's definitely going to pop off.
I'll hold you to that, Snail.
I'm willing to be held.
Well, isn't that nice? 3,000 gold. I'll say 2,000 gold lead as P1 comes up on 24K. So not too much to be worked with in that sense. The turrets still stand, which was really P1's opening coming into game 2. They were able to take control of the map instantly by rushing down the lanes. And it seems more about just farming it out here and scaling up Darshan in the top for CLG.
And Darshan's going to be feeling really good about where he is in the game right now. Now that you have the Triforce, you can start really killing off those waves so easily. It starts to become harder and harder and harder for Shen to stick around in those lanes and actually provide much pressure because he has high CDR. He has enough damage to actually one-shot the backline minions with his barrels here too. So he's going to be able to continuously just ramp up his gold production essentially. And when that cult pops, he's going to be quite a bit ahead in gold. And he's already 500 gold up thanks to his passive and stuff. So in 30 or 40 CS, it wouldn't surprise me to see him 1,000 gold up with his bonuses plus the call.
Yep. Has gone back and used his Serpent's Fire at Will as the first upgrade, increasing the rate of fire over the duration of his Cannon Barrage.
Interesting.
So that's what he chooses to go for. Usually you get the damage.
Yeah, usually you do get that true damage Cannon.
Death's Daughter.
And Death's Daughter is definitely the one that I feel like I've seen most. But this one is obviously a solid option as well. The final upgrade is usually the movement speed one for your team. Raise morale or something like that it's called.
Oh. And they said the plants don't do anything.
Like they just took a big dandelion and just blew it out and right in the face of P1.
Perfect image. Love it.
That's so sticky, it's annoying.
Action towards the bot side. Another engage. Stand United comes through on Adrian.
Get through.
Nice disengage on the tidal wave. They're going to start locking up Aphromoo and Xmithy. They get out as they trade a bit of that damage. Arrow over the wall, delivering.
Look at Adrian so low.
That. Adrian goes down. We're going to see Ryu coming back on the left side trying to distract the team, but Zig also fell, and CLG starts this one off. Darshan's going to walk in and say, thank you very much, as he takes one on the way out.
Even cashing in on the parlay. Plus 6 gold on that kill. Feels good. And that's going to be the first turret going the way of CLG, who is quite a lot ahead now. And this is looking troublesome for P1. They crafted themselves a pretty cool draft. They give up the Rengar, though. They put Darshan in this good matchup, and Darshan has been performing, and Smithy is doing pretty well here, too. CLG is looking good, but they need to continue to push the pace of the game, and they've shown in the past, throughout this season, that they can't always close out their games. P1 still is going to have their opportunities, and here is the opening onto Adrian once again. They cannot kill him off too fast, though, so Zig does get in, lands a nice double taunt, but look exactly. It's the GP ultimate in the back. Adrian and Inori lost most of their health to that. Before Inori even opened up, he lost about 60% of his health just by chilling in that Gangplank ultimate, and you have to respect the damage it puts out. He doesn't do that, and the Gangplank ultimate almost just won them that fight by itself.
We wondered when Darshan could get the chance to go back on these damage-dealing top laners. It's not to say his Maokai hasn't been the tree of life, as Afromu says for
I
this
love
team,
that, by the way.
staying alive. But this is not the Darshan we used to remember.
It's the Pirate of Death.
Much more of his play style and that identity the team keeps talking about. We do damage, and we need more engage. So CLG is putting that to the test here, and it comes out with results.
Also interesting to see what Darshan is going to build next. There's a lot of options. There's still kind of the old tried and true Triforce into Infinity Edge. Some people are doing full lethality Gangplank even. Some people are doing a mix where they, go a Ghost Blade, then they go back to IE and things like that. So there's a lot of options for Gangplank these days in what you exactly build. Darshan, has picked up a Serrated Dirk, but it could be going into a number of things.
Reminds me much of old CLG. These Triforce comps, they explode once they get them. They drop the turret.
Oh, top lane, they look for Darshan.
Almost taking Nori down at the same time. One last parlay to the right. Oh, the Stand United comes through in his face. Zig says, here you go. You can try to get the kill.
That's 3 members top, though, and CLG is going to be pressing for this mid lane turret. So if that's all P1 gets, just like last game, it wasn't worth it for CLG to make that roam. This one is not going to be worth it for P1 because they get the kill, but they give up an ultimate, and they give up their mid lane turret. Now they're looking to try to chase in here. Let's see if they can get anything else out of it. Double TP came in there.
Ooh.
Oof. That's it.
Pulls up the Spirit's Refuge. Obviously not going to take too much from Huhi, but they have to realize if Huhi's on the front line, there are many, many members just behind him.
Yeah, P1 really wants to force the Dragon now to try to get something more from that. Darshan is back, but he doesn't have his ultimate, doesn't have the TP, and the Infernal is being started up. This would be their second one, could really help them to get the stats back that they need.
Ryu locked up, doesn't have to use his ulti. He has a chance to rethink this one. The team gets the Infernal Drake, and they're going to go ahead and walk out smartly on this, knowing they don't know where Darshan is. Could be a dangerous fight.
And now I would say in the extended trade, when you add in the Infernal plus the kill, that becomes very nice for P1, especially when it's 2 Infernals to none. That is quite a big deal, as they're going to have that extra 16% AD AP over CLG for the entirety of the game.
This is the split push we saw coming into game 1. Obviously a little different, but they have to keep this up. They walked and strayed right away from this, right after they were able to get an inhibitor and a Nexus turret. We'll see if they can keep it in mind. Do have a few other options on the plate. That's not one of them. Nori coming up big on Darshan to drop him down. Solo kill.
Level 13 Nori, 4 out of 5 of his kills teams. Seems like business as usual for this guy. Every time he is on one of those assassin junglers, he's able to get those kills. And Darshan, oh my god, the damage that comes out is just ridiculous. Nothing Darshan could really do to fight back there, even if his ultimate had been available, which it wasn't.
It's going to feel good for Nori. He knows there's a squishy team he gets to fight against. He will take those fights every time he can. Solo topping by himself. He's going to draw Huhi up here for a little bit of pressure. Just deep wards already for P1. Let them know they can still hang out.
This really is feeling a lot like game 1 was for CLG, where they were in control. They felt like they have the ability to kind of move forward and close out this game. But they have to actually do it, right? They have to be able to make those steps and keep pushing the pace and keep extending the advantage. And in game 1, they got to this place, it looked good, and then they kind of stalled out. And they tried that random Baron, and it did not work out for them. They ended up winning the game anyway because P1 then did that Baron. But still, we want to see CLG. We want to see CLG improving and moving forward and really kind of cleaning it up.
Pressure from Zig back to bot. Teleports up, though, for Darshan. Stand United is going to be what's used here. No contest on the top turret, though. The scary sound of Youmu's pushes Ryu off.
He'll back off, and Ghostblade completed now for Darshan here, too. So he's going to be going that route as well. And does have another long sword, so that could be building into even more armor penetration if he wants to go that route. Oh, arrow already flashed.
Flash forward. Oh, Afromu didn't see a Nori coming over the wall. He's going to get the 1-2 punch. Smithy goes back. He's now in a bad spot. Gets himself released from the crowd control, but they still could turn. Uhi just on the other side. Tidal wave could come down. It's actually already been used. as who he fires back. And let's see where Adrian actually used that, but that down the lane would have been the re-engage for P1.
Oh!
What a shot coming in from Stixay, showing Arrow I could do it too.
Stixay makes it a 1-for-1 trade, and now CLG off of that can push right in here. Ryu has no ultimate. He did use that diving in the back line. Nori hanging out on the sides, wants to look for that pick, and CLG likely will back off with bot lane pushing into them. Well played fight, you have to say, from P1 though.
Yeah.
This is CLG engaging into this, and Arrow immediately flashing as soon as the ultimate comes up. He saw Aphromoo, he knows what is coming, and they're able to get in there, but Arrow survives, he gets out the side, they're able to turn it around and get the first kill, and watch Ryu over the wall here, almost takes out the CLG backline, very close. Stixay had to flash out of that.
Instant exhaust.
Exactly. So really well played from both sides, and then Arrow, and no one's watching him. He gets taken down by Stixay. He's like, yep, that was me, I did that.
Self fist pump.
Raises his hand.
Well, it seems like CLG is having a much better time in this game as well. The confidence showing through in their engages. As you said though, P1 still able to kind of hold off and see how the fights are coming through.
They certainly are. P1 is really hanging in this game pretty well. They're going to have their chances, and CLG now trying to establish vision control around the Baron, but we know how unreliable that has been for many teams as a way to close out the game. So for now, they are just continuing to scale up, continuing to farm it out, and look to find their picks. You know, they have this kind of three-man squad with Smithy, Huhi, Stixay, Afro, like any of those three guys together can look for the picks pretty easily. You can have the Jhin ultimate coming up, Afro looking for the Malefic Grasp, and Smithy can pop that ultimate.
Huhi keeps returning to the same brush. He is taunting them, and they will accept the taunt. 47 seconds for him, and they're just going to push CLG out, get some deep wards here.
P1 might go to Baron. Let's see if they actually are willing to start this up. They know Darshan's on the bot side. It would be very risky, especially going in the pit against the Gangplank ultimate. So they're not going to start up. They are just going to take the less risky version and clear out all the vision, pick that up for themselves. So they get one kill. They don't feel like it's desperation mode where they need to go for more just yet. But Darshan split pushing is going to be able to pick up this farm. Zig will match him though, and it's not going to be turret damage, thankfully, for P1.
P1 ping on Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, P1 really wants triple Infernal. If you get triple Infernal, like, that is an insane advantage. So CLG really must be able to fight for this, but Huhi is still dead.
We'll see if they can get the hot foot. 3 Infernals. Only 3 of 1 Drake will spawn in one game, so no more Infernals for this one. We may have enough time for another Elemental Drake, though, if they take it down right quick.
Smithy is fallen 2 levels behind Nori as well. He popped the ultimate there, trying to track the enemy team. Has given Huhi time to get back, and Ryu has his TP but is split pushing. So CLG is kind of being forced into pulling the trigger. Either they start the Dragon or they just lose the base. Here it is now, so the TPs are going to come in.
On the hunt was used, so they know where he is. Turret goes down. They burn this very quick, but P1 still wants to fight on the way out. Great hits going into on Smithy right away. And Nori low gets himself out. He was the focus and drew an exhaust. Another kill going over to Aphromoo, looking for Zig, who he stays alive. Arrow looks to get it close enough. Double kill for Arrow as he steps into the fray as the bot lane carry. Darshan drops him. Can he do it? Ryu's got way too much health for this to happen. Also got a Nori on his chase. Obviously going to get that movement speed. Now he draws P1 around. At least he can waste some of their time. A quick phase dive cancels him out. And P1 aces Counter Logic Gaming.
They get the ace, and they get a lot of gold back there. P1 with a really nice fight. CLG was just not able to really make anything happen in this one. CLG lose their jungler right off the bat, and then all the ultimates committed to kill off a Nori.
Yeah.
He doesn't go down. Zig tanking up so much damage here, lands the taunt there onto who he does fall. But this is looking like a brutal fight as Ryu comes in, flanks them, takes them down. This would have been Baron for P1 if it wasn't that double kill for Darshan. So that really saved them.
Yeah.
From having this be a complete disaster, but still it is P1's fight. CLG at least picks up the Infernal. So in the end, it's a 2-kill advantage for P1 in trade for an Infernal, which is a bit of a wash, and CLG couldn't afford to give up that triple Infernal for the 24% advantage. Now, since it's 1-2, it's just an 8% advantage.
Yeah.
It's not as big of a deal. That said, Ryu also picked up the top turret and now a bottom turret, so he's actually really making this split push work, and this is how Huhi should have been kind of playing it in the later stages of game 1, right? He's showing what you're kind of supposed to do. Split push it out, make people answer you, and look to create plays.
The communication is constant. Ryu actually a very heavy point of that communication, which is why the team is acting so coordinated when he's in those side lanes, ready for the TPs. Doesn't mean they're out of the woods yet or in the lead. There's a bit of a gold lead. They have grabbed turret pressure, but neither team really has yet to push their wards forward back across the river.
The level 16 is pretty frightening for Inori, who has a lot of kills, who has the QSS, and it means for Inori he gets the triple upgrade, which is really the big thing, right? He has his leap, he has the evolved W, and he has his evolved Q. So he has everything he needs to go aggressive, and now he can't just be shut down by Aphromu's ultimate. So this guy is going to be a terror and certainly has the chance to take over a fight. As you pointed out, Riv, it's against all squishies. So if he gets on anyone isolated, he will take them down very quickly. And Aphromu and Huhi are going to have to be very fast with the exhausts on Inori when he does show his head in those fights.
Secondary upgrade, Death's Daughter for Darshan, as Razormel be that last one as we expected.
Yep.
He levels 16 as well.
So going for even more of that flat penetration, the lethality. Picked up his Edge of Night, so he is going for that lethality build. Could be a Dust Blade here. Still could go back for the IE, but in goes Inori.
Absolutely exploded as Adrian. Arrows the next one. Xmithy forward. Huhi is low, and the team's about to turn this one on. Xmithy jumped forward without the back line of the team. Or I should say the front line. They're all squishy.
Here's Darshan.
One kill there. Barrels out, looking for it. Darshan's going to be able to take that one down. And it looks like big hits from Ryu. Protobelt only gives him so much room. And Zig's trying to get him. Darshan taunt could be what happened.
Get them all.
But they're able to lock it down. Darshan coming up huge in these fights.
Darshan, back to that old carry. He used to be, playing a carry. He's looking good in these team fights, and he has had a big impact so far. And this was the initiation from Inori, stand united from Zig, but look at Adrian, already dead from Huhi there. And then Smithy flashes forward, takes down Arrow. A lot of the threats are already out of the fight for P1. But Inori was so strong, he's able to turn around a lot of this. We do see some duels going on on live there. It looked like 6A went down, so we may want to just hop out of this replay as they were pushed back, not able to take down the turret.
Low HP CLG. Seems like they were pressuring him pretty hard there. Look at good amount of damage coming from Darshan in these fights, and he only entered at the last moments. His ult actually missed quite a few people as well, so that was a few shots just from him. It was about 6-3 in kills, now 15-15, a snap of a finger. And just about a 2,000 gold lead here for Counterlogic Gaming. No turrets dropped in these last engagements. We're still waiting for the map to be really opened up. And P1's mid turret is down, but CLG really hasn't been able to make much pressure other than that fight. Let's see if they can prep this mid to go down.
This is really anyone's game. I mean, the gold is pretty much dead. Even P1 has that Infernal advantage. They also have the tank comp. And if they get to pick on Darshan or someone, it could be pretty devastating. They're going in again, stand united.
Stixay's gonna be, oh, they got pushed away! Huhi's package is gigantic in this fight if they come out on top. Aphromu on the backside trying to silence. Ziggs in the face of everyone, taking the damage to himself as the backline can fire, but he goes down. Huhi with an absolutely amazing package here. Aphromu down. Do they actually lose this? Ziggs still on the front line.
Arrow's still very healthy.
Burning him down. Arrow firing just that from the back line, and they actually come up 2-2 with kills.
Huhi saved that fight though, and that could have been a disaster for CLG. Huhi flies in, knocking the Kazakhs and the Shen away, which kept 6A alive and allows them to keep that fight pretty even. These are some very intense fights, and P1 is just going so aggressive with Inori and that Shen. That combo is very, very powerful, and now Drake is spawning, so we could see another fight right off the bat.
Second ultimate's up. Adrian's is down. Arrows is down.
Darshan almost has his back.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Doesn't look like there's any contest coming in. Ocean Drake going over to CLG as things calm down. 17-17. As this has just been a trade back and forth all series long. We'll see it again.
And really, it's all about the package. Look at this. Knocks them both away, keeping his AD carry safe, and then killing Ryu off before he can even use his zonies or the ultimate. So Huhi, the true hero of that fight for CLG. It could have been a disaster otherwise, but Zig and the rest of the team play this really, really well in the later stages. And right back to live, we're over by Baron.
Even more damage.
Look at the GP damage in that fight. The ultimate is just disgusting for the late game team fights.
It looks like it's on Ryu to start delivering it back. Inori continues to get exhausted. That has been something CLG has been on point with, is making sure he's shut down. Darshan getting much, much bigger, and it's been a while since we've seen this play from him. He's got to be feeling good.
Certainly does, but you know, a good game like this is not enough. They need to get the win. They need to close it out, because that has been the story for CLG all season. It's like, yeah, well, they lost to C9, they lost to TSM, but they just kind of almost won. You know, it was still close, but it's still a loss at the end of the day, right? And that's what they care about. They care about the standings. And in they go once again. Your TP coming in.
No stand united just yet. Belt forward, chrono break back.
Chrono back away.
Yeah, he is all the way by Baron Pit. He's telling the team that right now. They realize it quick. Good communication, but you are looking at a very low HP on a few members of CLG. You lose someone like Aframu. That fight changes very quick.
Certainly does, and that's the QSS now up for Ryu. He used it there, but that's TP, QSS, and ultimate down for him. Afro did have to blow his flash, but a fair trade there. Another big one to track is Darshan's ultimate. Really, they need to have that for all their team fights. He has quite a lot of cooldown reduction, so it's going to be up pretty often, but no one is answering Zig right now. They're going to try to force.
Follow up. Whoa, onto Kuki. Smithy thought maybe
OTP from behind from Zig.
He's going to hatch this one. Fires right down. Gets Afromu with the long range taunt. It was just on the end.
Nori on the side is looking.
Ryu stays alive. Phase dive out of the deadly flourish, and they're going to get back to safety. It is just in and out for P1 right now, grabbing what they can, but not overextending. Looking for Baron. They are going to start jockeying for position.
Remember Darshan's ultimate. That is the key thing here. It's up in a couple seconds. Smithy has the ultimate popped, is looking, and has about 30 seconds in this ultimate to kind of walk around and look, but they have started this up, and Darshan needs to make sure his ultimate counts.
Adrian takes the Death Daughters right to the face. Damage is going to be there.
Down.
Darshan finds it. P1 and Nori goes down. Now they're on the Ryu. Very nicely done. Darshan to the side. And they are chasing Stixxay. They are chasing Smithy. They want to try to get to safety here, but it looks like they're going to be going down. Stixxay entering the fight from the right side again, trying to put the last damage on. It looks like they do drop Arrow. They do drop Zig. They were not long for this world. It was just the chase down, and now CLG is looking Baron straight in the face.
That was so well played by the three-man CLG squad. It's a 3v5. They get a clean ace. They will get the Baron, and CLG just broke this game wide open.
What a difference than having a Maokai keep twisted advancing you. We've seen so many of those fights go to the wayside, get away with slivers of health, but now with multiple sources of damage around the map for CLG, they're able to find victory in these skirmishes, and that's just what they are. We're seeing hardly any fights start 5v5. It's a few members down, one super low going back to base, and the skirmish breaks out for a good 10 to 15 seconds. All of this has led CLG to the front door of P1's base, and they finally drop one of those inhibitor turrets.
And let's watch this one more time. I mean, P1 just feeling the pressure, feeling like they have to start it up, but we talked about how dangerous it is to do that Baron with the GP, and Nori on the side cannot get the execution. Then Ryu tries to go in for Stixxay, but he still has his flash, gets back out. The support was already down, and it's a 3v2. They corral them. They know they don't want to get them go to get out there, and the blast cone actually kind of hurts Zig and Arrow as Smithy takes a ride with just Arrow, able to burst through the Stand United, gets the kill there. Little clap from Stixxay.
Happy clap.
P1 now, they have to hold on. A lot of it's going to be on Arrow. He needs to poke out the members of CLG. Smithy is just looking. I mean, the inhibitor is open. Trying to threaten the flank and make them back off. It's more of a zoning ultimate. Just say, hey, I'm going to ult you if you don't back off that turret. Let us get it.
Ryu's got the eye. It's actually helping because they know it's not an Inori or Adrian, so he's not as close. That doesn't help as much as you think, though. Nori to the backside. Here comes Shen onto Stixay. That flash is down. That's a for sure kill. How does CLG respond though? It might be only just a backtrack here.
They should have just pushed the turret. I mean, that was Stixay on the side. Huhi and Darshan could have gone in and taken down that inhibitor turret. Instead, they try to chase to help the fight. They're not able to get anything done there. And P1 effectively shut down that Baron.
And that's part of the brute force, as well as P1 realizing there isn't much safety for anybody on this team if a flash is down. You're not getting hooked away. You might get Nether Grasp, but the CC besides that ult is next to nothing.
Exactly. Like you said, when the summoners are down, right? They knew Stixay used it in that Baron fight, so he didn't have it here. They commit to him. And with the Baron, they may be the ones to take a turret, but they do need to still be careful.
Yep.
Show some respect to CLG's squad, as if you get clipped by one of those GP barrels at this point in the game, you will lose a lot of health. And Elder up soon.
You actually feel it on this end of the game. It's painful.
Oh, this is scary. Anyone face checks here.
Ooh. Throws down the hunt. Felt like they had the upper hand.
They're going to try to go for the Elder, perhaps. Huhi is here with the team, and Stixay's coming.
Minion waves are in position here for Counter Logic Gaming if they want to keep going. Top is pushing, bottom is about to hit that turret. So Elder to Drake going over to Counter Logic Gaming as they repair these. Oh, actually they haven't started it yet. Even with P1 backing off, they don't have the vision of that side of the jungle. So it is not the same knowledge.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to start it up now, as once they see Zig top and they haven't seen anyone else the rest of the squad, so
Yeah,
there it is.
there it is.
And Anori is hanging around. I don't know if he's going to try to make a risky play and go for a steal. They're TPing in, so they are going to try to do something here, but that's way too little too late. So TP down. Thankfully, CLG probably doesn't even know this, so they can't really play around it. But P1 is going to be hard-pressed to defend the middle inhib, because now I think that CLG can just walk up the middle and take down that inhibitor, since there's no turret, and they have the true damage burn from that Elder Dragon. Should likely head there, but for now, staying bot.
Top has been pushed out nicely. Mid as well, so P1 doesn't have too much to think about other than this lane. Unless they do send someone towards that middle inhibitor. It would be scary. Better to stay as a full group right now for CLG.
Yeah, I would have
Level
thought
18s.
they'd want to just take down the open inhib. I mean, you don't have empowered minions. You don't have Baron right now, right? So the minions can still get taken down. And even though you have the Elder, if you can't get up to the turret, you can't actually do any sieging. You don't have any damage. So to me, it makes a lot more sense to just actually force a fight with the Elder Dragon when you have this massive true damage advantage. Instead, for now, CLG just going to back off, so it looks like they might not get really much of anything from it.
Decent amount of clear coming from piercing arrows and Nori's void spikes, making it a little difficult for CLG to find a way in.
Yeah.
But this is where they could capitalize. P1 outside their base for the time being. But obviously, no, CLG is away at home, so this is safe time.
And if they're going to go, they're going to go now, right? They
Right.
just all bought up. They have all their items. They still do have some time on the Elder. It's not as short as it used to be. But they have to get it going pretty quickly here if they're going to do it. And it seems like no. So it kind of says that CLG's not that confident, actually, about their team fight. If you don't think you can take a 5v5, even with the Elder, it kind of says a lot about your confidence for team fighting in this game.
Very true. Really interesting way to look at it. And Counter Logic Gaming has been so ahead, but the way they approach a fight doesn't make it seem like
Oh, there's the
feel
ultimate.
ahead.
They're going to look. Oh, Arrow gets rooted.
He gets himself to safety, though. Very nicely done. Also, the Shen ultimate for any follow-up damage. Adrian is there. His tidal wave basically saved the team, but now he has nothing else to save himself. And Zig going to try to make his way through the base gate. May not be able to get the safety. Guardian Angel down. Do they go back for round number 2? Huki drawing Anori over, and this is what it was.
Anori has no jump.
Stepped out of their base. And now it's going to be P1 getting tacked on 2 kills. Looking for a third one here as Huhi approaches Anori. Ryu
Oh, Ryu got
in
one.
the middle of the fight. He actually is able to get 1 down. Looking for a second. He's got to back out. No mana under his belt anymore. 4 down is just a Ryu standing tall in his base.
And I think this is going to be it, Riv. CLG looking to close this one out.
I don't know. This could be Ryu's moment. Isn't that what they say? Not this time. They seal the deal. It's 62 seconds. If he's able to make it back up, that's not the case. 27-21 in a 48-kill game. Counter Logic Gaming take the series 2-1 over P1.
CLG pulled the trigger with the dying seconds of that Elder Dragon buff. They're able to get the picks, and they're able to close out the series. A big one for them. And for P1, third straight loss. They fall from 4-1 to 4-4.
Whew. What a back and forth 1 and 2 of this series. The third one, we definitely saw both teams playing a bit measured, but we finally see CLG break that composition of tank meta top. And they bring out the GP for Darshan. He was focused though. He was focused at the Mao. They took the Shen away from him. The Nautilus as well was gone. And they said, we'll go back to damage. And we'll let Darshan do some work. And that he did at 9-3 and 8.
A lot of it really was about the pick ban, as you say. You know, they targeted Darshan. They're saying you don't have the ability to play these matchups, right? They actually banned him into one of the best matchups in the game against Shen.
Right.
They're saying you can't play it. That's like an attack on Darshan, basically, and he performed. He played very, very well, and he's able to kind of shut them down on that. So a lot of credit to Darshan. P1 goes for a bit of a risky ban strategy, you know, banning towards a player rather than towards a champion or a matchup.
And happy smiles. Well, I guess all smiles are happy in a way for Counter Logic Gaming, but knowing that's for the victory here.
Yep.
Still much work to be done for them going ahead in the season, as these were not clean games. They were very back and forth, and they were actually stepping away, as we mentioned a bunch of times, from their win condition after having it almost locked in.
Yeah, certainly game one was definitely messy. They were lucky to walk away with the victory in that one. Game two, P1 looked really good. And game three here really was anyone's. You know, this was a very tight one. It was decided by some pretty explosive fights. All three of the games had a lot of kills, a lot of fighting, and it comes down to mechanics. It comes down to teamwork and team fighting in games like that, because one misstep and the fight can go totally the other way.
Yep. This was actually quite an interesting one. We saw CLG in the early game, no turrets down, but send Stixay and Aframu top as well. Xmithy not coming out with a jungle item. Maybe we'll figure out what that was about. So coming out through a bit of adversity through this one, being able to just go through all those errors and really come out on top. They held strong through the mid game. Having mid and bottom prepped at one point, we kind of saw an in and out by CLG. They were able to pick up that gold so fast and allowed them to control the map. Like we used to see old CLG controlling the map, using Darshan with ults or the teleports in, and not just him being a tank to lock people down.
Yeah, exactly. He really was very effective, and the GP Ultimate in particular was massive. CLG definitely did still kind of have their own unique spin on this game. They did try some things. Early game, they were winning bot lane, and they did that rotation top that really didn't pay off. They fell behind in levels, fell behind in CS, but it didn't matter. They stayed composed. They team fought well, and they come away with the victory here today.
Well, for more on that explosive win, let's check in with Jat and CLG's carry in the top lane.
Hey, thanks, Trevin. Yes, I'm here with Darshan. I have to ask you, a pretty long-fought series. How are you feeling after that, now moving to 3 and 5?
I definitely think that was like a huge game to win for us, because if we lost that, we would have been looking at like relegations and things like that, and we would have been able to like have such a good chance to make the playoffs. So it's a huge relief to win that game. It was a hard-fought series. P1 played pretty well, but I'm definitely glad we could come out with the win.
Yeah, and that does move you guys to 3 and 5 as you try to push towards playoffs. And a lot of people have been asking about your improvement, or when CLG is going to kind of turn it on. We've heard from Aframu as champion pools having to change the way you play the game. How do you feel that's going?
I feel like, especially with this last week, we're realizing more and more about play styles and kind of like how we want to play the game, like having pressure. And like you're seeing like the lethality champs like Jace mid and things like that are just insanely strong. And I feel like if we play more towards the early game and play more towards having advantages early, we can snowball a lot better. But we've just been, I feel like, drafting more towards for team comps rather than trying to win the game early. And so I feel like we haven't really been playing towards our style. And I think going forward, we're definitely going to change that up.
Yeah, and I do have to actually ask you about that. I've noticed you guys really prioritizing Maokai very heavily for you for initiation. Does that kind of speak towards the initiation, or is that something else entirely?
Maokai is just pretty broken, honestly. Like, probably the easiest top laner to play, strongest tank, can like 1v5 the whole team for like 10 seconds. So, of course, you're going to lock it in if it's up most of the time.
All right, well, thank you very much, Darshan. Congratulations on the victory, and best of luck next week. For now, we're going to send it back to the desk.
Thank you very much, Jat. Wish you were here. Unfortunately, I'm alone with Mark. I know last time I complimented you, this time it's hate. Because, hey, CLG won. It's counter logic, all right?
Sure, why not? That works.
Had to flip it one around. But an interesting match to be sure, and an interesting game as well. Counter logic gaming coming out ahead. And we're going to start actually with just the replay of the game-winning team fight, essentially, the one that got CLG the win. And it's the 3v5 Baron defense.
Right, and this basically starts off with a combination between Darshan and 6A being able to pick Adrian. Inori is over the wall by himself, not well coordinated with the rest of the team. Then Ryu goes too far on his own. 6A was able to barely kite out, and now just very, very quickly becomes a 2v3, and now P1's on the run for their life, trying to keep Arrow alive. Smithy does a good job jumping onto Arrow, takes the blast cone over. The two of them end up isolated on the other side of the wall, and Darshan's able to pick up the kill before the other two basically finish off Zig. But that was a really important moment in the game because CLG had been winning the whole game, then they had lost a couple fights, and that was basically P1 saying, okay, we want to fight. We have 5 men up versus 3. Let's take a Baron. Yeah, and you know, CLG did the best they could. Ended up being a 5-0, which is of course incredibly unlikely. And it was just several mechanical misplays, one after the other. And so, you know, unlike for Phoenix1, I think they obviously could have won that game, but it went the way it did. Counter Logic Gaming, I think, had some interesting things happen for them. We can start with the draft actually, with what happened here, because they got themselves the Gangplank top, and you heard the commentators talk about it. There's like, oh, a whole bunch of bans got spent at Darshan the person, just to give him Gangplank and Hashem, which is a great matchup in the first place. Right, and I think this is the first time Darshan has played the Gangplank and Hashem, but he also has shown that he can play other things too. He has the Trundle or something, and I'm sure he has a handful of pocket picks. That's always something Darshan has always had. And so it is a little strange to see the focus on Darshan there, and he plays the GP, struggles a little bit early, but that's GP. Like, back in the day, if GP was getting solo killed twice by Gnar, that was like, great. That's what we want. And then I'll farm up and I'll be a monster in the later games. Yep. So it doesn't matter how far GP falls behind as long as he's getting his farm, which Darshan was, and the rest of CLG was winning, picking up objectives. So he was in a fine spot. And then once it came into the mid-late game, he had a monster performance in team fights. He really did. And you can see in the draft order there, right? Yes, Rengar left up to be first picked. To be fair, Rengar was probably the least important champion on the CLG lineup. Say, please, here, let me dangle this kitty toy in front of you, and you know, Xmithie does this and pause at it just to take the Shen away and take the Varus, and it's just, you know, it wasn't enough to keep everyone else down. Right, that part of the draft phase I thought was all right from P1. I mean, Rengar's still going to do Rengar things. You can't stop him from ulting and jumping, and he was useful, but he wasn't like the huge threat Rengar, and Inori definitely, I would say, outplayed Xmithie for a majority of that game, though it wasn't always clear because Xmithie was on the winning end. So but Inori played a number of team fights really well. So I think that trade was fine overall for P1. So you mentioned the fact that CLG got a lot of winning fights. 13 minutes in, we got another replay to show up here. When this is where the CLG snowball really started. This flash over from Alchemy sets up, and everyone dogpiling in. And this is one thing that they did have was some pretty good target engage with him or with 6A. Yeah, especially in the beginning of the game, they're able to chase through onto the bot lane members of P1 now and clean up a couple kills. And I think the big thing is whenever Afro's out of lane, you see him making a ton of great plays. And it's those like in-lane kind of brain-dead plays we were talking about from the second game where he just died for no reason. This time, starts to play off and is able to actually play the majority of this fight really well, as it gets kind of crazy with kills coming in everywhere. Ultimately, Inori respawns after dying initially, comes back in and cleans up 2 more kills for his own life again. So it ends up being a 4 for 2 at the end of that crazy fight. But I mean, CLG did control the early game with a number of fights before you see close to that 30-minute mark. Once again, P1 starting to win those mid and late game team fights. Look at the damage graph. Darshan topping the game by like a 50% margin over a lot of other champions here, more than in some cases. And that's what we finally got to see. It's like, feels like when Darshan's on a carry, it often looks really good. Like, there was the one kind of rough Jace top game where he won lane and CLG kind of threw in the end, but it feels like when Darshan's just playing a carry type, it just looks like Counter Logic Gaming end up closing these games out a little bit better. And we can start talking about players to highlight, really, because we prepped the fact that there seem to be 3 big carries in this game. And with Phoenix1, we start with Inori, who did look very good, right? His Kha'Zix was great, and he said, yes, go ahead and take Rengar. We want to take Darshan's Shen away, and we'll just play Kha'Zix Rengar, no problem. And Inori looked better than Xmithie the entire game on a weaker champion. Right, and the problem for P1 seems to stem around their Baron plays. All 3 games this series, they had Baron problems. They had Baron problems in previous matches as well, so they need to focus on that for improvement because the rest of their game seems pretty solid. Usually they have good early games, this time not quite so much. They usually have good team fighting. Arrow's a great carry. He got abused a little bit this time, stuck on the immobile Varus. So overall, P1 seems really strong, and Inori in particular seems like he's going to get off the ground almost every single game, even when things aren't going well early. Yeah, so he can always continue to be the rock for the team, but P1 maybe needs some better shot calling and better late game coordination to make that work a little bit better. Talk about other players that did really well. Stixay was really big on the Jhin. It's kind of interesting that, you know, when P1's first 2 picks were to take away a top lane or take away a bot lane,
it's, you know, the top lane and the bot lane still does the best for CLG, and Stixay's Jhin was absolutely amazing.
Right, and CLG seems to have a little bit of that Team Liquid syndrome where, like, as soon as one player starts playing well, the rest of the team struggles a little bit more. So even though this was a great game out of Darshan and Stixay also was a monster in a lot of these team fights, having really good positioning. It's still the case where Smithy looked worse and Huhi looked worse. And they had their moments too. Like, there were a couple good packages out of Huhi, and there were a couple bad plays out of Stixay as well, where he Jhin ulted and hit basically nothing. So overall, just there's this huge consistency problem on the side of CLG, not just between games, but within a game as well.
Yeah, and of course, as we crescendo up to players who are doing well, we enter the player of the game. No surprise here. Darshan on the top lane on the Gangplank. The bans don't seem to phase him. Really did beautifully. And he carried the actual team fights. I mean, significant damage percentage, decent KP. And the fact that he was able to just, like, half the time he engaged the fights with his ult. He's like, oh, we're going to run at them? Slow them down. Let's go, boys. Dive in there, put him in another grab.
I think that's a great point, because the coordination with the global ult of GP can sometimes look awful, where you just ult behind the enemy team, they just like run forward and kill yours, or you know, your Malzahar flash ults and you drop your ult in on this guy who's already dead. It felt like most of the time that Darshan was getting his ults off, they were well timed and they had impact in the game, not just random. I'll throw that in as well because I have this global ability. Yeah,
and there's actually just kind of fun synergy thinking about the comp, where it's like, okay, you want to spread out or at least run away from the Gangplank ultimate, but at the same time you want to stay in some kind of a weird line or dash sort of thing, so you can block Jhin ulti, and then someone's got to face tank the Rengar leap as well. You've got to be around to block it all off, and so, you know,
a lot of damage on CLG. Yeah, it's hard to play against.
A lot of damage, and they all have different positioning requirements that don't always overlap in the same way. So, you know, allowed them a lot of these early picks, and hey, it was a good game by CLG. They closed it out in the end, and they got their match win, which makes CLG improve to only one match win behind a tie for 4th.
And there's a handful of teams sitting at 4-4 now with Immortals, P1 going there. So, you know, as bad as CLG has looked in some of these series, they've also looked well, really strong in a couple against TSM in particular was one that they looked pretty good, and C9 as well. So I think you can say that, you know, CLG, there's always that kind of faith component, always believe in the potential, all that stuff. And I think it's another season of that where, once again, they have shown glimpses of their former glory, but they just aren't quite there yet.
All right, well, we'll see if that former glory does return, but now we're going to go and take a break after our first series because we have our match of the week coming up. It's FlyQuest going head-to-head with Cloud9 in a battle for first place. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back. Match of the week.
Yeah, finally. Shut up.
Aframu's going to lose a bit more health, but there isn't enough follow-up. A quick heal for himself. Stixay coming up with a kill onto Ryu. Xmithie over the wall for a kill as well. Oh, he's going deep. Oh, Nori goes in. There's one. He's trying to now get Stixay, but he doesn't finish. There's two, and he turns around. Stixay actually gets a buff refresh. That down the lane would have been the re-engage for P1. Oh, what a shot coming in from Stixay.
Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. He's not
I'm here.
Burst no push.
Burst is solo.
Burst no push.
I have nothing.
Damage is going to be there. Darshan finds it. P1 and Nori goes down. Now they're on the Ryu. Very nicely done.
Yo. Oh, he got that. Shut up, run. No, I can heal you.
There we go, boys.
Come on, man.